You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. This is your instant reaction to Texas Tech taking down BYU 85-78. I'm your host, Spencer, joined, as always, by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Nice. Key lime victory LaCroix. That's what's up. How are you?
Got a little Diet DP in my cup.
Man,
if only it was like a Diet Coke nice. Or something. No, it's good.
I felt like Texas Tech was heading to, pun intended, get taking to the woodshed again, like they were previously this week in Houston, but turned it around. 17-point deficit to win by 7.
Yeah, it was at a
what a win.
23-point swing there in the second half. Well, you outscored by 23. You came back. You were 13 down at the half. Then you win by whatever it was.
Down 16 at half.
16. There you go. That adds up to 23, which is a good number for us, as you know.
It is. It's the 23 personnel conundrum equation.
Yeah. Nothing happened in Houston this week.
Nah, we don't have to talk about that.
But you are 4-1 in conference play. So let's talk about that. 4-1 in conference play. Sitting alone. Well, I say that. I think Kansas State won, so not alone anymore. But you are atop the Big 12 standings in basketball as of 8:15 Saturday, January 20th. At 4-1, 15-3 overall record. It feels good, man.
It feels a lot better than it did Wednesday night. That's for sure.
Yeah. Houston, 3-2, a full game back.
Yeah.
Wouldn't know.
They struggled a little bit today against UCF and offensively.
UCF,
57-42. Yeah, UCF's they're earning their spot in the Big 12 pretty handily with being a team that doesn't have a great record, but a team that you still don't want to play. Now, Houston took care of business eventually, but only scored 57 points in the process, which is quite a bit lower than what they're usually capable of. But man, to see the narrative, I felt like there was a narrative going into the Houston game of, oh, they lost 2 on the road. Or 2 in a row on the road. They're probably not that good. They're probably a little overrated. And then after that, everyone was like, "Oh, Houston's probably the best team Tech's going to play all season." That's
which is probably
incredible
accurate.
Team. It could be,
right.
But I just did see kind of like a very big pendulum swing of they're not that good to no. Actually, they are really good, and that's just how basketball goes sometimes.
That's how basketball go. It's how it goes in the Big 12, man.
Yes.
Speaking of, okay, so I'm looking at the standings. 19th ranked TCU, 13th in the Big 12.
Well, and
2-3.
We will talk about the BYU Tech game, I promise, because that is.
We probably should. We should probably start there.
Well, we can, but I thought really quickly. So just today in the Big 12, to give you an example, so TCU lost on the road to Iowa State by 1, 73-72. Houston, as I mentioned, took care of UCF 57-42. West Virginia went to Lawrence and won 91-85, beat Kansas.
No, they were in Morgantown.
Oh, well, why are they listing it second? The Big 12, okay, then none of that may be right.
Both teams, they were tied at 51 at the half. That's a lot of first half points.
That's more than UCF scored the whole game. And then Texas, of course, gets that crazy last second on the run buzzer beater layup to take down Baylor after Baylor made an insane 3 to tie it. So Texas wins by 2. Cincinnati barely loses. They lose by 4 to Oklahoma. So just every game today, aside from the Houston UCF game, was just a nail biter up to the very end.
Yeah. Kansas State held on. I don't know if you mentioned that. Kansas State held on to beat Oklahoma State by 4.
I did
I think you
not.
said
That wasn't
Okay.
updated on this. I picked the wrong thing to. I picked the Big 12 website, which is apparently the wrong thing to do because the second team is not necessarily the home team.
I've got the
And that's
ESPN
usually
app.
how that goes.
So that's how it goes. All right, let's talk about the Red Raiders tonight. They take down BYU 85-78. Not the best start, slow start for your and our Red Raiders, but goodness gracious, you look at from some final figures. Pop Isaacs leads all scores, 32 points. He was the guy tonight. He was the dude. 11 of 19 from the field, 6 of 9 from 3. He had a couple huge ones there to extend the lead there late in the second half. Was perfect from the line, 4 for 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Did have 3 turnovers, but 3 steals in 36 minutes. He was exhausted, man. He played a ton of minutes, as did Warren Washington. He finished with 19 points. And then your other scorer in double figures was Chance McMillan, 14. Joe Toussaint had his worst game, but he's still that dog, right? 5 points,
Yes.
1 of 10 from the field.
That 1 of 10 was
Yeah.
so important. It came at a very clutch, crucial moment at the end of the game, and it was an and one, I believe, on a drive.
Yep.
Not long after Tech had taken the lead, or it was around all that time. So sure, he had 5 points on the night, but that 1 of 10 was a very, very important bucket.
Yeah. You shot 67% from 3 in the second half, and 63% from the field. To finish the game, you shot 48% from the field and 50% from 3.
You out BYU'd BYU somehow offensively.
And you finished 17 of 18 from the free throw line. I mean, good gravy. You iced it away.
They lived up to their identity of just kind of not including the free throw line in their game plan at all. I mean, they only attempted 5.
5, yeah. But they took 39 threes. Good gravy. They were so good in the first half. Let's see, they were 10 of 20. They were 50% from 3 in the first half and then went 3 of 19 in the second half, to finish 33% on the night. Shot 44% from the field. Okay, Ali Khalifa, like they in the second half, they found something with him. My goodness, I think I turned it on. He had 8 points. He finished with 21. He put on whether it was 12, 13, 14, whatever, how many points it was when I watched it in like 5 minutes. And it was just like feed the big man, and he just kept getting it low, and he was just taking, like, I hate to say it, he was taking Warren Washington to shed, dude. He was like doing all kinds of pump fakes. He put him in the washing machine. He spun him around a couple of times. He just made it look easy, and he moved pretty well for like not only just like a tall guy, but a big guy. He's a big dude. He finished leading the Cougars in scoring, 21 points. They had 2 other guys in double figures. Saunders had 16, and then Dallin Hall, who ended up fouling out, had 12. First half, man, it felt like if this was the game you were going to get, it was just going to be bad. They shot 55% from the field, 50% from 3. They just didn't get to the free throw line, which you talked about, and that held true for the second half too. They went 3 times in the first half, 2 in the second. They just settled so much for jump shots, whereas Texas Tech was aggressive and tough to get to the line 18 times.
Yeah, and just out rebounding our guys. I mean, they ended up, I think it was pretty even both halves. First half, BYU out rebounded 22-16. And second half, it was 20-16. So overall, it was 42-32, which is their exact average.
Yeah,
they just dominated the glass. And to echo what you're going at, you see Tech's not making shots, BYU can't miss, and Tech can't get a rebound. It just was a very frustrating first half to watch, and it seemed like something Herculean was going to have to happen, Pop Isaacs was going to have to go for 32 points or something for this to become
Hey, guess what? He did.
some sort of even possibility of turning around.
And you also forced 8 second half turnovers. It was 12 on the night for BYU, so that definitely played a big role in the comeback. 10 second half fouls, 5 of them. Dallin Hall got all 5 of his fouls there in the second half. They were like, we're going to go after Hall, and they did. They got him booted from the game after 34 minutes of play. But you took those 12 turnovers, turned them into 22 points. Texas Tech had only 6 turnovers, and BYU was only able to capitalize to make 4 of those points. They did with the rebounding advantage. BYU did have the second chance points, 18-7 advantage there. Pretty even points in the paint, 32 for both. Or it is even 32 for both teams. Whereas it was a 32-point advantage the other night for Houston.
Yeah, you like to see the points in the paint kind of come back a little bit.
You did see fast break points coming back. You had 12 tonight. I think you had 2 on Wednesday versus Houston. And man, BYU held the lead for 32 and a half minutes in that game. And like I said, because of the way the game started and how far you had to claw back into this one, it just felt like it was maybe not in the cards. You're going to have a tough stretch there to go 0-2 this week, but you didn't. You got the win. You do get the midweek off. You do have a couple extra days here to get guys' legs back, because it looked like your team was gassed, and I don't mean that in a good way. Whether it was Isaacs or Toussaint, this little break is going to do them well, I hope. Because looking ahead, man, it does not get any easier. You're on the road next Saturday and the following Tuesday at Oklahoma, at TCU. So 2 more road games to finish out the month of January. But as of tonight, 85-78 winners. You're 4-1, man. And I can't overstate how great that is. The start here, I think it was tweeted out. Your 15-3 start, 4-1 in Big 12 play is your best start in something like 20 years.
I'm still just kind of shocked as to what we saw, to see this team bounce back like this. It felt a lot like the Kansas State game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not a mirror copy, but pretty darn close. And then for them to be able to come out and still pull out what they were able to do, and for Isaacs to have the game he had, I don't think enough could be said for how much he battled and probably how much he's hurting tonight. I mean, he needs that week off as much as anybody, because there were I'm not commenting on officiating, but it was kind of just a tough game. They let the guys play quite a bit, and that's, hey, all right, that's how it's going to go. And I feel like he got the brunt of that quite often. Sometimes it was called, sometimes it wasn't. And I'm not saying it should have been called. It was just the nature of the game tonight. But just how McCaslin's getting these guys to buy in, and whatever he's magically saying at halftime of these games is working. So keep that going. The man, I was watching it with some friends tonight. We kept saying, "Oh man, McCaslin's only has 1 timeout left," and this was with like 6 minutes left in the game. Never had to use it. So I don't know. I kind of chalk that up into, well, that's pretty good coaching to not need to even use that at all. And then you look up and there's a minute left and he's still got it. And you think, oh, that's great. He can use it if he needs to. Didn't have to. So just a really well executed plan in the second half. I'd like to shout out Darian Williams a little bit for those 8 boards. He almost led the team in rebounds.
Yep.
As a guard. Well, maybe he's more of a forward, but
well, as Fran likes to remind everybody, he's a very undersized power forward.
There you go. The jury is still out. And shout out to Fran and the ESPN crew. Thanks for going to Evie Mae's today over in Wolford. Delicious barbecue. Too bad they weren't able to make it over to Tom and Bingo's. Today was Tom and Bingo's last day. And for those of you hearing this the first time, I'm sorry. I should have told you all to sit down beforehand. But Tom and Bingo's will be no more after today.
We'll have to have like
sad note to end on, but at least Texas
tribute
Tech
episode.
Tonight.
Yeah. Man, I'm just going back to that timeout point you were making. We've talked about it so much already, and I hate to like just keep bringing it up, but like just how effective this coaching staff uses their timeouts, and not like how like he ended the game with a timeout, but just like when they call a timeout, it's like the perfect time. There were times in the first I was like I expected a timeout to come, and it didn't. I was like, well, what's he doing? Like BYU is cooking here. Like what are we doing? But and Gas I trust, because this dude is a wizard when he calls for time. And having one in his back pocket there at the end, if he needed it, supremely confident. I was like, I like this. I like having one ready to go.
I felt so good about it. I just kept thinking, man, this game's so close. He's going to have to burn that timeout before the last minute, and it may really affect it. And he's fine. Took it with him.
Took it to the locker room for the celebration.
Yep.
Obviously, like, love the game you got from Isaacs. You don't want him to have to go 32 points every night. You want to see more from Toussaint, but he's been such a he carried the team earlier. Like he's had his moment. Want to see him get his legs back under him. Like I said, those 5 points were crucial. That free throw, the field goal he hit to get that first free throw and then to get the next two were just huge, man. His 5 points, lowest out of everybody outside of Lamar Washington, who played 6 minutes. But still, I mean, it's just a thing of beauty. I love watching him play. I don't love how much he tries to get the call. He's driving, throws his head back a lot. Like
he got one though.
He did.
He got a pretty good. I think that was that the front end of the 1-and-1 he missed. But I remember coming straight off, immediately coming across half court. And I thought, ooh, he sold that. His neck probably hurts from how much he sold that, but he sure got it.
That may have been Hall's fifth.
It might have been.
Probably fans of opposing teams would probably hate Joe Toussaint for that. Like I said, I love the grittiness of him and what he brings, and he's still able to contribute so much to this team, even when he goes 1 for 10 from the field. Would love to see that come back. Walton, like those 2 threes he hit were just massive. I mean, I love this team. Like, there's nobody on the team I was like, man, we really could use more out of this guy. We're like, really need this guy to step up. Like the guys that are playing, like obviously you want to see more, from your starting guys when they're in there. Lamar Washington, like you want to see more minutes, because it was a very heavy rotation of your starting 5 plus Chance McMillan, who had 32 minutes. Joe Toussaint played 26. Kerr Walton played 25. And then Lamar Washington only had 6 minutes. So it was a very 6-man heavy rotation there. And then Robert Jennings played 3. Would love to see that kind of even out a little bit, spread out, but it's hard to disagree with the results. As I mean, you win a game like this with how the roster was managed, how the bench was managed. It's like, you do you, man.
Yes, right.
So we'll wrap up there, Michael. Unless you got anything else to add about this game besides it's just winning feels better than losing.
Oh, so much better. And I can't wait for the next couple of matchups. And this league is intense.
It's nuts, man. So we talked about how you wrap up January on the road at Oklahoma, on the road at TCU. February, you've got 8 games. Home versus Cincinnati, in Waco, home versus UCF, home versus Kansas, at Iowa State, home versus TCU, at UCF, home versus Texas. My goodness.
Yeah. The UCF games, they worry me a lot more now than they did 2 or 3 weeks ago.
They do, certainly. And then you've got 3 in March, home versus West Virginia. Sorry, in Morgantown, in Stillwater, home versus Baylor. So that'll do it for us on the 23 Personnel Podcast. Texas Tech comes out a winner 85-78. We will be back on Tuesday for your normal, regularly scheduled content. No game to preview, as we just talked. Well, I guess we will. We'll preview the Saturday's matchup against Oklahoma. But for Michael, I'm Spencer. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at Punt Suck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.